A month ago, I went to the Beyblade Nationals tournament with what I thought to be the perfect Beyblade. And then I lost on stage in front of everyone.
Hello, my name is Noah. I run the Beyblade YouTube channel LeftBurst with 900,000 subscribers.
Wow, really?
So obviously, I spiraled. I spent hours researching launching angles, spin vectors, and somehow ended up in a Discord war with grown men arguing over ratchet burst resistance. But after thousands of battles, 3 real-life Beyblade tournaments, and a 2-hour discussion with the #1 ranked blader in the world, I figured it out. This is everything you need to know to actually win in Competitive Beyblade X. I'm making this guide as beginner friendly as possible, so we're going to start with the basics and then slowly spiral into the deep end of blader insanity. Let's get started. A Beyblade is made up of 3 parts: the blade, the ratchet, and the bit. The blade dictates the combo's shape, spin direction, and the majority of the weight. The ratchet is what keeps the Beyblade together, and the bit determins how the Beyblade will move. There are 4 types in Beyblade. Attack types, which specialize in hitting your opponent as hard as possible. Stamina types, which try to win through outspinning your opponent. Defense types, which focus on withstanding attacks. And balance types, which are a combination of all 3. Next, we have Beyblade launchers. Currently, there are only 4 official Beyblade launchers out right now: the Proto Launcher, the Winder Launcher, the String Launcher, and the Hold Launcher. The Proto Launcher, we don't talk about him. The Winder Launcher, though, is a powerful launcher that utilizes a ripcord. The String Launcher is on a similar power level, and it utilizes a retractable string to launch your Beyblade. And the Hold Launcher is basically the same thing as the Winder Launcher, it just comes with a built-in grip. Most competitive bladers tend to use either the String or the Winder Launcher, as they're both quite powerful and easy to control. The Hold Launcher isn't bad, but its bulk can get in the way sometimes, and him, we don't talk about him. Next, let's talk about the point system. You get 1 point for outspinning your opponent, 2 points for bursting your opponent or knocking them into one of these smaller pockets, and a whopping 3 points for hitting them into the big extreme pocket. In past Beyblade generations, stamina types were dominant because it's just so much easier and safer to outspin your opponent compared to knocking them out. But this new point system levels the playing field and makes attack types a lot better. Okay, so now you have a Beyblade, you have a launcher, you know the point system, and you're ready to participate in a real-life Beyblade tournament. Well, lucky for you, there are Beyblade tournaments all around the country, and they're usually organized by the World Beyblade Organization, or the WBO. All you have to do is create an account, find your event page, and sign up for a local tournament. I'll have a link to the website in the description. So those were the Beyblade essentials. Next, let's move on to the next segment: picking your Beyblade combo. This is probably the most important aspect of competitive Beyblade. Every Beyblade has its own strengths and weaknesses, and just like Pokemon where water beats fire, fire beats grass, and grass beats water, Beyblade has a pretty similar type chart. Attack beats stamina, stamina beats defense, and defense beats attack, and then balance is kind of neutral to all of them. So let's talk about every Beyblade type and their strengths and weaknesses. First off, we have attack, and this is probably the most fun type to use. Attack types are great at getting knockouts, burst, and extreme finishes, which are all worth a lot of points. The major downside to using attack types are they're hard to control and unpredictable. You can really only reliably control their movement for the first 5 seconds of battle based on your launch, and then you're basically just praying the battle goes your way. And a lot of times, their extreme power and speed can cause you to launch yourself into the pockets. They also have a lower win rate compared to other types, but if you do win, you're scoring a lot of points. I like to think there are 2 types of attack types: normal attack types and one-hit KO attack types. Normal attack types are like Sora Phoenix or Beat Tyranno, which have aggressive shapes but are balanced and get consistent hits throughout the whole entire Beyblade battle. One-hit KO attack types, on the other hand, have extreme shapes that hit super hard. But because of their insane shapes, they run out of stamina fast, so if you don't win in the first couple hits, you're basically cooked. Think like Buster Dran or Keel Shark. Next, let's talk about some of the best attack type bits. We're going to skip talking about the ratchets because for the most part, all 4 types use the same exact ratchets. You just want to use a ratchet that's short and smooth. This gives the Beyblade the best burst resistance because if your opponent hits your ratchet, you burst. So you kind of want to hide and be as smooth as possible. Anyway, let's get back to talking about the attack bits. The flat bit and the low flat bit are very powerful but lack stamina and control. Level is a lot more controlled and has pretty good balance for late game. However, rush and low rush are the best attack bits by far. Compared to other attack type bits, they have a smaller surface area, meaning they're slightly slower, but they allow your combo to spin longer and can get multiple hits off every battle, and it's easier to control. Rush is also one of the few bits with only 8 gears, allowing it to do extreme dashes multiple times in one battle. So overall, attack types are a lot of fun to use, can get you a lot of points, but they can be pretty risky and inconsistent. Up next, we have stamina types. Stamina combos are much easier to use than attack combos. Their movements are consistent and predictable. The only problem is you're not going to be winning from anything other than a spin finish. So you might be winning more battles with a stamina Beyblade, you're not going to be getting as many points per battle. Stamina types usually have bits that have as little friction with the stadium floor as possible. This is because less friction means the Beyblade can spin for longer. A lack of friction though makes them really susceptible to attack, so they can easily be hit into the pockets. But against defense types, which have much less attack power, it's almost a guaranteed win. The best stamina bits currently are all just ball variants. We have ball, free ball, and low orb, which is basically just a smaller lower ball. Overall, stamina types are pretty safe and consistent, but they only really get you 1 point at a time. So if you're trying to win fast, you're trying to come up from deficit, they won't really get you there. Defense is next, and they basically just specialize in burst resistance and withstanding attacks. To be frank, they're kind of just stamina type Beyblades that do a little better against attack types. There's really only one bit that is ever used for defense, and surprisingly, it's advertised as a balance bit. This is Hexa. Hexa is unique because it's the only bit that's stationary and has a burst resisting band. Burst resisting bands are usually reserved for aggressive bits like flat, taper, excel, or cyclone, so they can perform hard hitting attacks without bursting. Hexa though doesn't move much, has decent stamina, and for some reason they gave it a burst resisting band as well. Its wide cone-like shape also makes it harder to hit into the pocket, so it's the perfect defense type bit. Some other more niche good defensive bits are under needle and high needle. These bits are both solid, but they take a lot more skill to use than Hexa, and they tend to get off balance easy and topple over late game. Balance is a really interesting type. In theory, it's like a combination of all types. It takes a little bit of everything, but in actuality, you really only use a balance type for a very niche reason. But these niche Beyblades can sometimes be the most powerful. Example A, Cobalt Dragoon on Elevate. This Beyblade has been wrecking the competitive scene for almost a year now. Dragoon is a unique Beyblade because it's one of the only blades that can spin left. Almost every other Beyblade spins right. So when up against a right spinning Beyblade, it can just steal spin. Think of two Beyblades like gears. If they're spinning in opposite directions, when they hit, they kind of push each other, sharing their spin. So at the end of battle, even if one Beyblade might have been launched much harder, they'll stop spinning at the same exact time because they're sharing the same amount of spin between them. However, there is a way to consistently win these shared spin battles, and that is to use a bit that's balanced and can spin slightly longer after being toppled over. The ability to continue to briefly spin after toppling over is called Life After Death, or LAD. Right now, Elevate is the best bit at Life After Death, so that's why it's used on Cobalt Dragoon. This combo is just so good because it can safely and consistently win against stamina and defense combos. You just spin steal and you win because your Beyblade has better Life After Death. Another kind of balance type I want to bring up is anti-attack. Anti-attack combos utilize a stamina or defense blade with a conservative attack bit. The most popular anti-attack combo is Wand Wizard on Rush. The theory behind this is because you're moving so much, attack types won't be able to hit you as hard. You basically avoid all their attacks, and by the end of battle you win through spin finish because you're using a stamina blade. It's also not a terrible matchup against stamina or defense Beyblades. It's a little bit of a watered down attack type. So it has a decent matchup against stamina and defense combos, and a good matchup against attack combos. And the final kind of balance type I want to talk about is the attack combo that's just a little more chill, which is basically any attack blade on point. Point is kind of a hybrid bit. It's like flat, but it has a small point in the middle. This means your combo can still do some crazy attacks, but will eventually settle into the middle of the stadium. So you can use a heavy attack blade and do a lot of damage at the beginning of battle, and then by the end of battle, you just settle into the middle and outspin your opponent. Against attack types, you can outspin them, and against stamina and defense types, you can still have a chance to knock them out with a strong hit at the beginning of battle. So those were all 4 Beyblade types explained, and at this point you might be wondering, okay, that's great, but basically what I'm hearing is that if I bring a defense type and my opponent brings a stamina type, I'm basically cooked. And yes you are. But lucky for you, one matchup doesn't decide the whole battle, and that's why most tournaments make you bring more than one Beyblade. Just like the anime, where every team consists of 3 bladers, in real life, you're usually going to operate in a 3v3 tournament where you bring 3 Beyblades that you can switch between and use. Again, it's pretty similar to Pokemon. Like if I did a 1v1 battle and I brought a Charizard and my opponent brought a Gyarados, I would probably lose 99% of the time. But because in Pokemon you bring a team of Pokemon, it's a lot more fair and it adds a lot more strategy and planning. Now, it's not just about coming in with good combos. The real skill is outreading your opponent. Predicting what order they have their Beyblades in, so you can shuffle your Beyblades in an order where you'll have a good matchup every single battle. The key here is coverage. You want to make sure that your combined deck of 3 Beyblades can be almost every Beyblade combination out there. A deck usually consists of an attack combo, a stamina combo, and either a defense or a balance combo. Some people like to go ultra attack though and just run 3 attack combos, but most people usually stick to this balanced deck format. Anyway, since this is so important, here are a few tips for reading your opponent. If your opponent just needs 1 more point to win, they're usually going to go with a stamina combo as it's safe and it'll get them that 1 point that they need. If your opponent is losing by a lot, they're probably going to start with an attack combo to try to get an extreme finish and make up for the deficit. It also helps to know your opponent's team. For instance, if someone is running a deck with 2 attack combos, it's probably a safe bet to start off with a defense Beyblade. And to help you guys even more, I'll quickly go over Beyblade counter picks again. If you think your opponent is going to go with an attack type, you can either bring a defense type, or Cheetou, the top blader, says he likes to just go 50-50 and bring an attack type of his own. But most people usually just try to stick with their defense Beyblade. If you see a defense type, best to go with a stamina combo or Dragoon on Elevate. Stamina type, best to bring an attack combo or Dragoon on Elevate. And if you see the infamous Dragoon on Elevate, just go full on attack, man. Okay, so now that we've talked about picking your Beyblade combo, let's move on to... Now, I've already made a whole entire video on Beyblade launching techniques, so if you haven't seen that video yet, you should go check it out. But in this video, I'll quickly go over the top 3 most essential Beyblade launches that I think every competitive blader should know. The most popular launch by far is the drop launch. This launch causes your Beyblade to move to the top left of the Beyblade stadium and stall before crashing down and wreaking havoc. This is great for attack types, as you can stall there and wait for your opponent to calm down in the center before riding the rails. Before I talk about performing this launch, I want to quickly talk about the 2 sides of the Beyblade X stadium. The B side is the left side closer to the B in Beyblade, and the X side is the right side closer to the X in Beyblade X. Certain launches are easier to perform depending on the side you're on. For instance, the drop launch is a lot easier to perform on the B side. All you have to do is tilt your launcher slightly towards the rails and launch your Beyblade right in front of the rails. Now, it is possible to do a drop launch with the X side, but it's just a little more difficult. The next essential launch is the reverse X dash. This launch causes your Beyblade to slowly move on the rails in the opposite direction. This is great for stamina or defense types because it can disrupt attack types from gaining momentum and doing full extreme dashes. The launch is easier to do on the X side, and it's similar to the drop launch. Just angle your launcher towards the rails and launch right in front of it. Finally, the last essential launch I'll be talking about is the instant X dash. This launch causes your Beyblade to immediately connect with the rails and perform an extreme dash the second it touches the stadium floor. This is great for getting initial strong hits. To do this, you want to keep your launcher flat and aim for the rails on the opposite side. This launch can only be done on the X side. But yeah, those are what I believe to be the 3 most essential Beyblade launches. To be honest, you really only need to know the drop launch. That's the launch that most people do. And that's why most people prefer to be on the B side of the stadium. It's just so much easier to do the drop launch on that side. So actually, if you're starting out, it might be beneficial to get comfortable using the X side, because a lot of people are going to choose the B side when they can. But just like Beyblade choice, there is a lot of strategy in predicting your opponent's launching style. For instance, if you're on the X side and your opponent looks like they're going to perform a drop launch, you should also perform a drop launch and try to aim directly behind them on the rails. That way you can attack them from behind. If you think your opponent is going for a reverse X dash, tilt launch your Beyblade and try to hit them perpendicular to the rails and knock them into the pocket. And if you think your opponent is going with an instant X dash, drop launch to the top left corner and try to avoid their extreme attack. So yeah, there's a lot of strategy in reading your opponent and performing the optimal launch, so make sure you look at your opponent's hand before every single battle and try to plan accordingly. As I'm making this video going further, I'm realizing the competitive Beyblade is so nerdy. Oh my gosh, I'm a nerd. But honestly, I love it. I love Beyblade so much. Anyway, this section might date me a little bit, but let's talk about the best Beyblades to buy and the best current Beyblade combos. If I were to recommend any one Beyblade, it would have to be Hasbro's green Wizard Rod 160 Rush Starter. Every single part in this thing is meta. Wizard Rod is the best Beyblade out right now. 160 is really good because it helps Beyblades jump out of the pocket, and Rush is the best attack bit by far. This is the go-to Beyblade to buy. My next recommendation is Soar Phoenix 960 Gear Flat. Soar Phoenix is one of the heaviest blades and one of the best attack blades because of its aggressive triangular shape. 960 is the best current ratchet because it's small and smooth, which gives the Beyblade combo good burst resistance. And finally, Gear Flat, that one's kind of trash. But this release also comes with a string launcher, so if you don't have a string launcher yet, this is a great set to buy. The blue Soar Phoenix 580 Hexa is also a pretty good buy. 580 isn't that great, but Hexa is the best and really the only good defensive bit. And for only $10, it is an amazing deal. Sterling Wolf, Cobalt Dragoon, and Beat Tyranno are all good pickups, but you mainly buy them for the blade. Actually, Sterling Wolf is a pretty good all-around Beyblade. The bit it comes with free ball is really good. I take it back, Sterling Wolf is a good all-around combo. You should buy that. Anyway, the Drop Stadium is a pretty great set. It comes with 2 amazing Beyblades, and Hover Wyvern and Impact Drake. Impact Drake isn't that great, but the parts it comes with are. 960 and Low Rush are both super competitive. As for Hover Wyvern, the blade is amazing, but all of its parts are kinda dookie. If you guys want to purchase these Beyblades, I'll have a list of Amazon links in the description. They are affiliate links, so if you buy any Beyblades with them, it directly helps out the channel. So those were all the best Beyblades to buy. Next, let's talk about the best Beyblade combos you can make. And to do this, I made a list with the #1 ranked Blader Cheetou, and this is what we came up with. For attack, we have Phoenix Wing 160 Rush, Beat Tyranno 160 Rush, and Male Knight 360 Low Rush. These Beyblades all just hit super hard and do multiple attacks per battle. For defense, we have Sterling Wolf 760 Hexa, Wand Wizard 160 Hexa, and Golem Rock 160 Hexa. Basically just round blades with the Hexa bit. 760 is the heaviest ratchet, so it gives Sterling Wolf a little more weight, and 160 allows Wand Wizard and Rock Golem to jump out of the pocket more often. As for stamina, we have Wand Wizard 960 Low Orb and Sterling Wolf 960 Free Ball. Really, there's not a third combo. Wand Wizard and Sterling Wolf are currently the only meta stamina blades. Anyway, finally for balance, we have, of course, Cobalt Dragoon 560 Elevate, Wand Wizard 160 Rush, and Hover Wyvern 960 Kick. We talked about Cobalt Dragoon before, that thing is just broken. 560 just helps make the Beyblade a little more balanced. Wizard Rod 160 Rush is the anti-attack combo we talked about earlier as well, and Hover Wyvern 960 Kick is actually a really cool combo. Hover Wyvern can hit pretty hard because of its Pringle-like shape, but it also has decent stamina. It's really cool because this unique shape lets it jump out of the pocket really easily. 960 is used because it has the best burst resistance, and Kick is an aggressive driver, but it still has enough stamina to outspin attack types. Honestly, this is probably one of my favorite Beyblade combos of all time. So yeah, that was my complete guide to competitive Beyblade. Let me know in the comment section if you watch this video and then participate in a Beyblade tournament. Let me know how far you go. And yeah, honestly, competitive Beyblade is so much fun, and I can't wait to see this hobby grow and more people join. So if this is your first time watching this and you want to get into the competitive scene, just go for it. It is so much fun. You'll meet a lot of really cool people, and yeah, the hobby is inviting and it is great. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully I'll have some more competitive Beyblade content in the future. Remember to rate, comment, and subscribe if you like the video. I sound like such an old YouTuber. Rate the video, guys. Like the video. Anyway, see you guys later. Have a nice day. LeftBurst out.